I will read that statement one more time. All right. Hello and welcome. I am Jessica Carroll, the program lead for Measure 110. I'll be serving as facilitator for today's meeting. The Oversight and Accountability Council welcomes and encourages community input. Members of the public are invited to submit public comments or get on our interested parties email list by emailing oha.measure110@dhsoha.state.or.us, which is being dropped in the chat as we speak. That email address and more information about the council can be found on the Measure 110 OAC website. That link is also being dropped in the chat. For more information or support with community engagement, please contact me, Jessica Carroll. My email is also being dropped in the chat. OAC members have asked that OHA and other staff who are present in the meeting space introduce themselves in the chat. Please share your role with the agency, and if you're a subject matter expert, your area of expertise. And with that, I'm going to ask Walter to go ahead and take roll.
Sure. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. And I'm going to start us off from the top. It's Amy. Is Amy here? Not yet. Blue?
Here, good afternoon.
Hi, Blue. Carlos. Caroline. I see Caroline.
I'm here.
Hi,
Sorry
Caroline.
about that.
That's all right. Dharma. Aowen. Henry. Hubert. Okay. Karen. I think I saw Karen.
I'm here. Hello.
Hi, Karen. Keisha. Okay. Islana. Leticia. I see Leticia. Hi, Leticia.
Hi.
All right. Melinda. Morgan. I think I saw Morgan.
Hey, here.
Hi, Morgan. Nicole.
I'm here.
Hi, Nicole. Onisha is here. Hi, Onisha.
Hey.
Ron is here. Hi, Ron.
Ron's here.
Sabrina.
Here.
Hi, Sabrina. Zeb.
I'm here.
Hey, Zeb. And then Steve is here. Hi, Steve.
Hey,
And-
Walter. Hey, everybody. Happy
all
Wednesday.
right. Yeah, Reginald.
Yep,
Reginald.
I'm here.
All right. We do not have enough for quorum. We have 10.
I'm here now. Amy Madrigal's here.
Oh, okay. All right.
Also, just to let you know, Walter, Aowen has made herself available. She can't be in the meeting, but if she is needed for quorum, she is here. She can be reached.
Okay.
Thank you for that. So we have 2 out of the 3 tri-chairs for this meeting here today, Blue Valentine and Ron Williams. Ron will lead today's meeting, and so I'm going to turn it over to Ron to go over our agenda.
Yeah, hi, everybody. Good morning or good afternoon. Glad everybody could make it that's present. Let's see, just to kind of give you a thumbnail of kind of what we're going to do today. We've already done the welcome and roll call. We're going to get some updates on the status of the rubrics from OHA. Then we're going to, OHA is going to present to us, or there will be a discussion of options for making direct awards to counties where burns are incomplete, and where necessary. Then there's going to be some additional subcommittee reminders, a brief discussion of inviting folks to participate in conversations related to the Measure 110 phone line, and then we'll wrap it up. I'm going to apologize in advance that I have a hard out at 3 o'clock with a conflict, and so Blue will take over for me at that time. So with that, we'll start with the OHA updates regarding the rubrics and schedule and where we're at.
Yeah, thanks, Ron. Hi, everybody. Dawn Jagger, she, her, hers, Chief of Staff here at OHA. I am going to share my screen. All right. How's that size-wise, folks? Thumbs up. Awesome. Thanks, Ron. I can see Ron's thumbs up. All right. Okay. Give me just 1 second. Thanks, Blue. I see your thumbs up too. Just making sure I can see all y'all. All right. Let me dive in. Okay. So what I am going to review for you is the logistics and all of the components for the current phase that we're in with the applications related to the evaluation rubrics, and then also those evaluation rubrics moving to the subcommittees, to your guys' 2 subcommittees and that approval process, and actually the next 2 steps in the process as well, so that you guys see where we are. And then we will also be sending out this entire PowerPoint to you all. And there's 2 slides that I'm not going to go over today because it's another summary of the funding formula that you guys voted on last time, but I wanted it easily accessible for you guys. So know that that's in there, but I'm not going to review it today. I mean, unless there's questions, but y'all went through that last time. So just at a high level, just so you know, we have the 2 subcommittees now scheduled and they are meeting. So the first subcommittee is meeting Tuesdays, Thursdays, 4 to 7. Second is meeting 9 to 1 on Thursdays and 12 to 4 on Fridays. And those meetings are scheduled. They are live streamed. I know we had a hiccup with one of the live streaming, but we're working to get that posted onto the websites as well. The work of the subcommittees, this is what y'all have already done. These are the counties within which there's, these different applications which have been reviewed and approved. So this was a huge, huge step of the, thanks for the party signals, guys. This was a huge, huge step of the subcommittees taking votes and saying that applications were approved. And that next step in the process are that letters of intent are being sent out to those approved applicants. We have sent out letters, OHA sends out those letters of intent, and we have sent out those letters of intent to all, but I think 3 of the counties. We're just working on getting those finalized, but we are sending those out within about 2 days of the subcommittee approval. We're just getting that process moving and as quickly as we can. Once that letter of intent is sent to the recipients, in that letter of intent, which we can also share copies of those, and we will be posting not the letters of intent on the website, but we'll certainly be posting the approved entities on our website, on the Measure 110 website. Within that letter is also information about the next step for those approved, which is a meeting, an applicant meeting. And those meetings, the first letters of intent were sent out to, I believe it's Baker and Morrow. What we've committed to is that within 10 days of hearing back from the applicants, we will have a meeting on the books so that we can start discussing where we are in the process, where they are. Do they have a complete burn? Do they not? How do we move forward? And so those applicant meetings will begin the week of May 2nd. They are not on the calendar yet, but we are committing to that, and I will make sure that that happens. What we anticipate being able to talk to the applicants about at that May 2nd, or once those meetings are scheduled, what we are working on is what I would call like an orientation packet. So there will be some sort of PowerPoint or a 1-pager describing where we are in the process, how things will move forward. We also, as we've talked to you guys about before, we're working on model policies for the burns, model memorandums of understanding, and also what we will have in the background that we're working to build up capacity for is facilitation and technical assistance support for the applicants, especially as we get into the counties where there's a significant number of applicants. I am sure that there's going to need to be some assistance with facilitation in those conversations and that kind of thing. So before I move to the next slide, which is the schedule, the calendar schedule that we have directly in front of us related to the subcommittees and which county and applicants are going to which subcommittees when, do I have questions on just this process that I laid out so far?
I'm just trying to in my mind, I don't have it in front of me, our last decision on the timeline. This is still in alignment with our last vote for timeline.
Yes, it is.
Okay, and related to that timeline, have we notified all the applicants? Are they aware of the timeline as it currently exists?
So we have not sent out a communication to all of the applicants. This letter of intent is really the first communication directly to those applicants that lays out these timelines. There was a news release, however, sent on Monday that described the timeline, the funding formula, y'all's decisions. And so that is sent out to a listserv and also available on our website for folks who are interested. They can see that.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing and then reshare because of course.
Oh, Karen has a question.
Oh, sorry, Karen, hi.
Hi, can you say a little bit more about the memorandums of understanding, just in terms of who's working on that? And I'm personally interested in seeing one of those. I do have there's some comments I made several months ago about this, since we did not require coordination with CCOs or CMHPs in the RFP. I'm very interested in making sure that we have language in the MOUs around that.
Yeah, thanks, Karen. So I just want to make sure that I was really clear that the memorandums of understanding, right, will not be required of every single applicant because some have all of the elements to creating a burn. And so those memorandums of understanding amongst the applicants won't be necessary. But yes, I would really
love there are collaborations.
Correct. Yeah. And so what I would like to do is bring you all the template or model policies and memorandums of understanding. I don't know if that could be in 2 or 3 weeks, we could bring those to you, Karen, but the folks working on them within OHA, we're working with our contracts team, we're working with subject matter experts, we are working with DOJ, and in particular, we are also working with our public health colleagues who had similar memorandums of understanding amongst folks who were doing contact tracing and other community-based organizations who needed to work with their local public health. So I know that's a very, very different subject matter area, but it was a similar collaboration amongst entities who may not have historically collaborated. And so we're working really hard behind the scenes to take some lessons learned before we bring those templates to you all for feedback.
Okay, thank you. Look forward to seeing that.
Yeah. All right, let me see if I can. What's funny is when I go to share my screen, I realize I have literally 19 documents up, which is just funny. Okay. Choosing the right one. Okay. All right, can I get thumbs up if you guys can see this now? Okay, so let me orient you first to this chart that I have. So this first section right here, and can y'all see when I highlight things? Does that see it? Okay, I never know, thank you. So this is what I had on a previous slide. So these are the counties and applicants within those counties within which the subcommittees have already approved. So this is the completed work. Included in that is obviously the subcommittee already met on April 19th and they reviewed Korean Polk, and that's also up here. So know that that's a duplication, but I just wanted to call that out. So down here, what you have is the schedule. So you have subcommittee 1, which will focus on the tri-county meetings on Tuesdays and Thursdays, right? And then we have it obviously darkened out right here because there isn't a meeting on that day, but we just have it in one chart. And then this column right here is subcommittee 2, the non-tri-county. And I'm going to walk through each of that, but just wanted to orient you to what this looks like. Oh, and it looks like Henry is in the waiting room, just FYI, just popped up. So what we have right now are what we are trying to do, right, is before the subcommittees meet, is getting out packets of applications to the subcommittees 2 days prior, which we have not been meeting. We are not making it 2 days yet to the subcommittees. It's we are sending out things about a day in advance right now, which we know we need to improve. And thank you guys for your grace while we are trying to work through this and get better at getting you guys ahead, the subcommittee members, information earlier. These are the planned reviews for this week. And what's critical to look at is that in the Tri-County, Washington County, we anticipate starting this coming Tuesday, which means what we anticipate is getting the subcommittee members their packets of the Washington County applicants by Friday of this week, because you guys need that amount of time to be able to review that large. We would like to give you guys that amount of time to review that. Along with that packet, we're going to send some suggested instructions related to the order that you should review the applications, because what we don't want to have happen is folks show up at the Tuesday meeting and some folks reviewed 10 applications, right? We want to make sure everybody's reviewing this in sequence so that you guys are ready to have the conversation on Tuesday. So we'll have a suggested order that you guys can review them so that you're prepared for the conversation Tuesday. We anticipate that the Washington County will take 2 meetings, but we will be ready to send you guys the next packet that Friday, right? Again, with the timing, Clackamas, which has 23, and then after that, Multnomah. And we are working hard to be able to we will meet these timelines. And then you can see here, the non-Tri-County, this is about the sequence, the staggering that we plan to do here. And this will also be sent out to you guys. So we go all the way through the week of May 16th. Questions on this?
I was going to ask about the readiness of Washington County, but yeah, getting it today would not be helpful for us being able to beginning reviewing it tomorrow.
Right.
But it is ready, correct?
So we have some quality control issues that we are working through for the Washington County applications, but they will be ready to be sent to you by Friday.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, Sabrina.
Yes, I just wanted to ask if, do you think the next time the rubrics are sent out?
Hey, Sabrina. I'm so sorry. I cannot hear you. You sound like you're in a tunnel.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I just wanted to ask if this next set of rubrics are going to be set out 2 days in advance, or when do you think that's going to start happening?
Yeah, that will start for next week. So the folks who are reviewing on Tuesday will have the applications that they need to review this Friday. Thank you for that question, Sabrina. And I am sorry that we are stumbling with that. Or we are, like I just said to answering Ron's question, what we are learning is while we have, as we reported, many rubrics complete, as we're reviewing them to develop the packets to be sent to you, there are some quality issues that we're running into, and that has to be worked out before they get sent to you. And that is what OHA did not anticipate fully what needed to be worked through. And I am sorry for that. And we are working really quickly to fix all of those issues, and technical assistance needed to be done for folks who are doing the evaluations.
My understanding is some of that has to do with how the council is actually working with the actual rubrics in the review process. That how we're engaging and taking information from them directly and discussing them, being able to have quality information is critical to us making quality decisions.
Yeah. Yes, we want to make sure you guys have that. Okay, I'm going to jump back over to the PowerPoint if that works. Hang on. Okay. All right, I talked about applicant meetings. I talked about this. Okay, I have one other slide, and this is related to the current access to care grantees. And so I know that we have talked before about the fact that we are looking into, and we had been looking into whether or not we can extend the current grants or contracts with those access to care grantees. And what we have determined is that we can offer an extension for 3 months through up to October 1st, 2022. And what we anticipate is that for those that need it, grantees will receive a prorated amounts based on their prior award. And the prior award had been for a 6-month period, so that will likely be roughly half of what they received before. That communication about this decision has not yet been sent to grantees. We wanted to talk to you guys first, but I anticipate that by early next week, a communication out to all of the grantees will be sent out with outlining next steps. Questions on that?
Yeah, my question is, there's currently an extension that covers the time between now and the 3-month window?
Yes, so the extension would be through October 1, and there would be no gap period.
Perfect, thanks.
You're welcome. Yeah, Blue.
I've asked this before, but I really haven't gotten a solid answer. I do have some concerns about some of the access to care grantees, and I don't know that there is a process for anybody to address concerns. So I just wanted to bring it up again that I would really like to see some sort of a process or system around, being able to express our concerns, since we are the Oversight and Accountability Council.
Yeah, thank you, Blue. Do you want, can we talk through that process and how you want to bring that forward as a concrete action at OAC at our next tri-chair meeting? And we can talk through I don't know if you and I haven't had a conversation about that, and I'd really like to talk with you about what your concerns are and talk through the process and whether we can cure for any of those issues that you have.
That would be great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome, Blue. Any other questions on this before I move to these final slides? Okay. So the last few slides, actually, I will jump to communication. So let me just jump to what our planned external communication is. So what we are working to do is just like the information, that status update that I provided you guys at the beginning of this presentation, we would like to send out that information on a weekly basis through a news release and then also post to our website. So that's the plan at this point. We sent out a news release earlier this week with that information in it, and I think it's in process of getting added to our website. The funding formula is already on the website, is my understanding, along with the timeframes that y'all voted on. So I think that that's moving pretty efficiently. But at least once a week, I want to get communication out externally about where we are in this process. And then the other two components are, this is what was sent out in the news release, which is based on the exact PowerPoint that you guys saw last week that Leticia sent to you guys, and she described the timeline. This is what was in the press release and how it was modified to be an infographic. And then this is your guys' funding formula, which I have an oversight on this PowerPoint slide, which is I failed to just name that there are the counties with the minimum threshold, right? You guys voted on having the smallest counties with a minimum dollar amount. And I failed to put that on this slide. So I want to make sure that that's in there before this PowerPoint gets posted anywhere. Any questions? Karen, Karen, did you double hand raise there? I know.
Double hand raise in case you can't see my hand. The money that's going to fund the extension, where's that coming from?
It is not coming from the Measure 110 funding, the funding for the burns, but I'm not prepared today to speak to where exactly that is coming from. Our fiscal folks are working through that.
Okay.
Sabrina.
Yeah, Don, I had a question. I don't know quite understand what an access to care grant is and like how that's awarded. What I previously thought maybe it was leftover money that the organizations weren't able to use, and so we extended the timeline that was available. And so I was wondering maybe at some time if we can talk about it. It doesn't have to be right now, so I can catch up to speed that I actually know what an access to care grant extension is.
Yeah, I would thank you for giving us a little bit of time on that one. What I'd love to do is be able to get out that communication to the current grantees next week and come back to you guys with some more specific information about funding stream, who they are, that process. That would be great. I'm happy to do that. Yeah, Ron.
No, I was just, I don't know if you can go back to the schedule. I just wanted to see the end of the schedule, what that looked like, because I kind of missed that. We went through it pretty fast.
Yeah. Karen, do you want to ask your question while I do this?
Yeah, it's sort of a comment and a question.
So May 16th, we're done. Okay, that's what I wanted to see.
Yeah.
Or May 20th, but those letters would go out that week, within a day of Friday. So that would be Monday, the 22nd would be the final letter going out theoretically.
Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So my thought was, after last week when we talked about the formula, of course, I got quite a bit of feedback from my region after that. One of the challenges, I think, in rural Oregon and frontier Oregon especially, is there have not been significant infrastructure investments in substance use disorder services. I'm just going to say services because it spans the whole gamut from prevention through recovery. And I'm just hoping that we're tracking the dollars that are kind of set aside for the one-time expenditures. I don't know. I really don't know, other than looking at the applications that I was looking at when I was on the subcommittee and tallying those up, the requests. I don't know if it looks like there's going to be even more requests than what we have, but if it's not, I just want to be able to come back and talk about those dollars and potentially, investing in areas where there have not been significant investments. So I'm not asking for people to vote on anything right now. I'm just saying, since we did that so fast, we really, I know we're under pressure to really get this out. And I understand the pressure, I understand the timing, but it didn't provide us with any opportunity really to vet anything or talk about this with our constituents. So I just want to make that comment about those one-time dollars.
Yeah, so Karen, thank you. And I appreciate your clarity of this question. And so maybe I'll just reiterate what I think John did a really great job of explaining at last council meeting, but just to maybe reflect my understanding and thinking. So there is most certainly more dollars asked for in the applications than funding available. So just to your question about, that scale, that's definitely, certainly there is tension there, and that we will not be able to meet all requests. But what I do want to remind folks of in terms of the timeline is, so the subcommittees are approving the applicants now, which means some applicants are not being approved of, which means their funding requests, right, are not part of that big pool. And that very first, the letters of intent go out with not a designated funding amount for each applicant. And so we will have that funding conversation with you all, that's separate and apart from that funding formula. That's actually the conversation about how do we land the funding that will be allocated to the entities. So I just want to maybe rest assured that those conversations will happen in that level of detail. Yeah, Henry, and then Ron.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if this is the right place to have this discussion. I do want to kind of, bouncing off what Karen has said, advocate for those smallest counties, the ones that we have historically neglected regarding like development of infrastructure for folks who need services. And, specifically, so I don't know if I can speak about specifics regarding the grant funding process, Dawn.
Well, I don't know yet what you're gonna talk to, Henry.
So in the subcommittee, we started talking about these counties that have, maybe 1 or 2 grant applications, and they have not, and we have chose to fund applications that don't, that aren't asking for the entire amount that we have set aside for those smaller counties, that 750,000, I think it was. And so it sounds like there's going to be some extra funds within those counties specifically. And what I would like to advocate for is, for example, like, I'm going to call this out, like in Gillum County, there is a health center there. South Gillum's Health Center has individuals that are, certified and trained to provide substance use disorder treatment. And my hope would be that we could connect with those services and try to provide them supports, because my experience as a provider is that in the last 2 years, I have just been chasing my own tail, responding to the amount of requests for services. So some of these smaller providers may not even know that there are funds available, especially since we just created these funds last week or whatever, right? So it would be helpful for those folks to maybe get some information about how they could access those funds.
Yeah, so Henry, you are beautifully teeing up the scenario that John Collins is going to talk about around the direct award process, because what I want folks to be mindful of before we start talking about money and whether there's funding left over or not is that all the elements of the burn needs to be met for us to make these funding decisions. So even in some of these smaller counties, they aren't all met yet. And so John's going to talk through our recommendation related to how do we figure out how to complete those burns and reach into communities just as you're describing, Henry. So Ron, obviously I see your hand up, and then I'd love to pass it over to John to talk through that process, which kind of complements what I had walked through, but is another part of this process that we really need to tackle that impacts funding and everything else.
John paid me $5 to say that.
He did. I'm sure he did. John said, Henry, get to my part. Get Dawn off the camera. Yeah, Ron.
No, that's exactly kind of where I was going. And it was kind of related to an earlier slide that you showed of the counties that have been decided. I don't know if you can show that again, because my question is, it would be great to know from the counties that we've completed, what a complete burn exists. Because I can't, from that slide, I can't tell.
That's right, Ron. Thank you for pointing that out. So what we are working to do is I'm sorry if I did not say this earlier, is actually get you guys that level of information. So in each of the applicants, what element of a burn was served and is it a complete burn or not? So we will be
because in that case where there's an incomplete burn, we'll need to do direct awards, and that's what John is about to talk about. And that was going to be my comment to Henry. And so, okay, take it away, John.
All right, thank you. Yeah, and actually, you guys have already talked about part of what I was going to bring up, and I purposely didn't create any slides around this because I wanted to leave it kind of open for discussion, because we have a recommendation for you, but it's probably not the end all be all, and just wanted to put it in your head so you can start thinking it through. So as we go through and do the process that Dawn was outlining earlier, there's going to be all sorts of scenarios that end up out of that, from having full burns set up, which would be great, to having situations where all the elements are taken care of except for one, and probably the other way around, where maybe we just have one or none of the elements taken care of. And part of the reason we wanted to have those set asides for the counties was so that we knew what kind of budget we were working with for each one of the counties. So if we end up with, or when we have the situation where only a couple elements are in place, and we know roughly what those organizations are looking for in money, we know what we have left over in order to work the rest of the county, the rest of the region, to address those gaps that still exist. Our recommendation on that is for OHA to look at the situation and see what providers are known. There could be some providers that, for whatever reason, missed deadlines or had some technical issues in terms of submission that might be easy targets. There could be some of the providers that only ask to do, say, peer services and supported employment, but they do have the capability of doing some treatment services as well. And we might ask them if they're willing to expand what they were originally put into their scope. But I think, or at least our recommendation is that we would end up kind of doing a scouring of the landscape and come back with a recommendation about who we could pursue with as a direct award within a given county. That's what we're thinking right now. Certainly open to any feedback or thoughts on that. Ron?
Hi. Yeah, I was just thinking back to the process of the access to care grant, where there were existing providers who were provided with amended contracts.
Right.
And I was wondering, is that just part of the thinking, or is that the thinking?
I think that would be part of what we, I mean, we have staff that are familiar with a lot of the resources in a given county. The slight concern is that there could be resources that they're unfamiliar with, but certainly in the case where we maybe already have agreements in place or have a provider or a community-based organization that is already known, we would look at those and see if, based on what we know, they might be good candidates to fill in whatever gaps that we have and bring that information, maybe even touch base with them to kind of just get a judgment call on their interest and bring that information back to y'all as a recommendation about pursuing for direct contract purposes. And we could be doing.
Yeah,
sorry,
I had a question, John. One is I just wanted to see if you could repeat the question because I don't think I clearly understood it, but I wanted to add something on top of that. Actually, can you repeat the question and then I'll add on it, please? John?
Oh, the recommendation is that for those county areas where there are gaps in terms of having a complete burn, having staff at OHA basically do the research necessary to come up with a set of recommendations or a recommendation about the organizations that we could pursue for direct contracting to fill the gap.
Okay, yeah, I'm glad that you restated that because that's contradictory to what we were told in our subcommittee about how the direct awards was going to be made. And so, yeah, you just answered my question. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
All right, so I think I'm up. So my question would be, would that decision come, the final decision would come back to the council for approval? Okay.
Yes, we would only be making recommendations about how to move forward.
Thank you. And just so I'm clarifying just for myself, I heard three things, what you just said.
Okay.
I heard amended contracts, additional applications, and asking funded proposers to expand services that they've beyond what they propose.
Yeah, well, let me clarify first, and I see Dawn's got her hand up too on the amended contracts. We would not, unlike what we did with those early access to care dollars, we wouldn't be amending any contracts. What we could do though is based on people that we're currently contracted with and know about their services, we might use that information to approach them to do a direct grant agreement to fulfill the burn pieces. And yeah, on the other two options, so again, there might have been an applicant in a given county that only asked or that only applied to do a couple of the elements, but it would be worthwhile to check with them to see if they could do some of the others as well. So that would be another option to do some research on. And then again, there might be some that did not apply or did not get things in or whatever that would meet the qualifications. So that's kind of the universe of within the county that we would be scouring to come up with recommendations. Does that help?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
And
So,
Don,
so I think
Okay.
OHA is going to create like a timeline for the decision-making process. So when the research will be done, when the recommendation would come to the council.
yeah, I mean, and basically, again, going back to that timeline that Dawn had mentioned, we can start doing that as we're entering into negotiations with the entities that the sub-councils approved. So to the extent possible, it'd be great if we can do that concurrently and land on a full burn by the time we get everybody in agreement. So
That's exactly right. That kind of relates to what I was asking for regarding the list of counties that we currently have and going forward.
any other questions? It sounds like, I don't know that y'all need to take a vote or anything, but if y'all are cool with us pursuing things that way, that's great.
Does anyone have any additional questions or comments related to that proposal or recommendation from OHA?
Hey, Ron, if I may, that timeline that you're asking about is in that graphic. The infographic about the timeline talks directly about this
Direct awards.
process, like being rolling, just as we talked about. So it will be.
Okay, so it's baked into the existing timeline.
Yes, it is. It's already in there. Mhm.
Karen?
Yeah, I just want to make sure I understand how the council, the full council, is going to be informed about what the subcommittees are doing, since I'm no longer on a subcommittee, but I am very much wanting to keep up with everything that's happening around the completion of the rubrics, the completion of the discussions, and then the approval of the funding for each county. So just want to make sure that we are getting that as a full council.
Yep, every week, Karen, we're gonna be adding to kind of this status update that I gave you. And so obviously we need to give you more detail than just these number of applications were reviewed, these were approved. Like I said, we'll have a matrix that we're gonna be also sending out with the elements that there are. And we will get into a rhythm with more information attached to it as well. And the funding decisions will not be, I mean, we need to have those conversations with you guys. You hold those decisions. And so we're not moving forward with funding decisions without coming back to you.
Thank you, Don. Any other comments regarding direct awards? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move on to the next item on the agenda, which is subcommittee reminders. And I think Jessica has taken that.
Yeah. Thank you, Ron. We're gonna talk about some subcommittee reminders around the county formula that you all voted on last week. This is just a reminder to everyone in the subcommittees to ensure that you're not using the formula to make your decisions, rather you are using it as a point of information, if that makes sense. Are we good? Additionally, we also, sounds like Sabrina has a question.
Yeah, because I would just like a little bit more clarity, like to an example of what that would mean, because now that we have the information, it's going to be in the forefront of our mind regardless. We can't like escape that information now that we have it. So in what context can we use it?
The example that I was given when we had this discussion is that you can't directly point to the amount of money that's allocated for a county as a reason for your decision regarding a proposal.
That is correct, Ron. So we can only consider what is in the application, and that formula is not in the application. So while we can have that as a point of information, what we don't want to do is say, oh, well, I'm going, because we have this money, I'm going to go ahead and fund this organization. Does that make more sense, Sabrina? And if not, I think John might have something to add.
You've hit on all the points, but if there are other questions, yeah, I can add more. Does that help, Sabrina?
Yes, and Donna said that she can talk to me afterwards, so I will just take that. Thank you.
Cool.
Go ahead, Jessica.
All right, thank you. Additionally, we are wondering if any of the subcommittees would be interested in setting aside about the first 30 minutes of the meeting to go ahead and review their rubrics. While we know you have already reviewed your rubrics a day or 2 days before, to just use that first 30 minutes to go ahead and take a quick look back to remember what organizations that we will be voting on. Blue?
I'm just curious if the timeline that we had right now for the application review took into consideration that possible 30 minutes, and if not, would that then push any of these deadlines farther out? Because I think that is my biggest concern, and probably a lot of other council members, is that we just want to keep this moving as fast as possible.
Yeah, totally respect that and hear that, Blue. I think we all want to keep this moving as fast as possible. And that has been factored in. So it would not throw us off course to give that first little bit of time for folks to review their rubrics one more time.
Amy?
Okay, I
Amy?
just, one of my concern with that is I thought that's why we were getting them mailed to us in advance, so that we wouldn't take up all the, any amount of time that we've set aside in the evenings to go over them. And so I just have a little bit of concern around that. We can give it a try. If it doesn't work out, we can adjust later, I suppose. But I just encourage people to take that 30 minutes when it's emailed out to us, because otherwise it could potentially become a time-consuming issue. That's my concern.
Yeah. My experience so far has been that that when we move from county to county or proposal to proposal, just the pacing of that, people having time to find the actual rubric, find the information that they're looking for, because folks are focused on very specific things: concerns, the recommendation, and budget, kind of where things are landing a little bit. And so folks just need just a pause to be able to find that and then move on. And that's kind of what I've been sensing. And so I would not be advocating for a half hour at the beginning.
Okay, first I want to say that's a really good point, Ron, and we will be sure to be more mindful of that on the facilitation side of those subcommittee meetings, for sure. And obviously, this is just an idea that was brought to us, and so we're just bringing it to you all. We have, depending on what.
And we thank you, and we really appreciate the thoughtfulness that you're taking with this.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you. So can we just do, like, from subcommittee members, like a thumbs up if you want to do this, or nothing if you don't, so we can just get a quick count of thumbs? Okay, so it does not look like this is a popular idea, which is absolutely fine. What we can do on our side is we can ensure that we are providing ample time for y'all to get, your next workbook out and get to the page you need to get to. And so if I'm ever facilitating, you need me to do that and I'm forgetting, just please remind me. No worries. All right. And so this is the next reminder that we have for the subcommittee is around just reminding folks that you can request an application from us if you would like, and we will get it to you. And so please feel free to do that. And we will make sure that you get that. Are there any questions or thoughts before we move on to our next item?
Our next and final item.
What a smooth, fast-paced meeting this is.
All right. Jessica, are you teeing this up or am I?
It's up to you, Ron. How do you want to do this?
Well, you go ahead. You start and I'll follow you.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the Measure 110 phone line. And I just kind of want to put a qualifier out here that none of these decisions need to be made today. This is just some information and a call to be included in a process if you would like to be. So no information or I'm sorry, no vote that needs to happen today. As you all well know, we have a Measure 110 phone line. That phone line was originally contracted to be for 1 year. We then extended that contract due to the tremendous amount of work that we're doing to get the burn funding out. What we are proposing is to do another extension of that contract. And these are the reasons why. Number one, in order to get a different contractor, sorry, Sabrina, I saw your face. To get a different contractor, it means that we would have to write an RFP, right? And you all would be involved in that. And with the inordinate amount of public meetings and reading and everything that you all have going on through at least, the beginning of June, we are recommending that we extend that contract again with a qualifier. The qualifier being that we would like to get those of you who are interested together to look at some ways that we could add some further accountability measures into that contract and into that agreement with the contractor.
Yeah, that's pretty much a complete discussion, which is that because there have been some conversation among members of the council expressing concern regarding the fact that although the particular contractor may be meeting the specific deliverables in the current contract, that folks have expressed interest in creating additional variables or deliverables to be met based on kind of the perception of how the organization is performing in the public sphere. So as a result, for those of you who have concerns and you would like to add additional deliverables, you're being invited to participate with OHA to create additional deliverables. John, your hand's up.
Yeah. Thank you, Ron. I just wanted to add a quick addendum to what Jessica said as well. The other piece of that is if you decide to do that extension, it would be good to start working sooner rather than later on developing the RFP. Like, for example, if the goal was to have somebody in place by January of 2023, starting the work on the RFP as soon as you can, given the other things going on, would be a good idea.
Sabrina?
Yeah, I have a question about a letter that was possibly going to be going out, and I don't know if that was in a public council meeting, but talking about being in alignment with benefiting what the work that we're doing as an OAC council and not going against the grain with some comments that were being made and being speculated about with presentation with Lines for Life. And I was wondering if that ever happened. And we don't have to talk about it now, but if we can maybe follow up with it later, future discussion. Because that would be my only drawback to the extension, is if that ever happened.
All right, thank you, Sabrina. Yeah, we can definitely discuss that. That's kind of, what this kind of work group, we're going to call it a work group and not a subcommittee. If you'd like to be, have your voice heard in this sphere. Well, obviously your voice is always heard because you're a member of the OAC, but in this sphere, in this work group, we're just putting a call out to anybody who is interested. And also if anybody would like any type of information, like some refresher information, the contract, kind of their reporting, to kind of get back up to speed, because so much is happening and so much has happened. So just acknowledging that it might not be top of mind for everyone, and that's okay. We don't need to make a decision today. But please go ahead and we'll make sure to get a packet out to you. If you just want to go ahead and email me.
That was going to be the direction, is to email Jessica if you're interested. I see that Sabrina has already thrown her hat in the ring, and anyone else interested, you can communicate directly with Jessica to be involved with that work group. And Blue.
Yeah, I would just ask if a summary of what this ask is can be sent to the council, since I know not all of the members are here today. I know some of the members that have expressed interest are not here. So just so we can make sure we get a lot of folks on this. And then I might have missed this, but was there any discussion around how long the contract would be extended? Is that negotiable, or was there just a set time it was going to be extended? I might have missed that.
Oh, yeah. So we are talking about possibly extending it through the end of the year to give us enough time to get the burns fully funded, do the stuff we have to do, and start that RFP process, and not and be able to have enough time to do that. Is that correct, John?
And then just a quick follow-up. Are those numbers, or is that number something that could be potentially handed over to another organization, or would an entirely different phone number have to be established if another organization took over? Just wondering, because we have materials out there with phone numbers, and it would be great if the phone number could be consistent.
That is a really great question and observation, Blue. And I do not know the answer to that, but that is something that we can definitely find out and present. I believe you're probably going to be part of this group, so we can definitely talk all of that through. Good question.
Amy?
My question is, what was the utilization of the phone line? I mean, what happened in that year that they've had? Is there a way to track that or get that information so that we can see if that's the best use of it? And I would like to see some numbers, some information.
Yeah, I know that OHA has a contract manager on that particular contract who has reported at I think the year end of the first year end, that they essentially stated that they had met their deliverables and were in compliance with the contract. But in terms of anything else, I don't think we have that information. Maybe Steve has additional information.
So we do have the information provided to us from Lines for Life as far as their reporting numbers. And we can definitely, that can be one of the things that we send out to this work group.
I keep wanting to call on Steve. He just looks like he's chomping at the bit to say something.
Are you, Steve? I'm sorry.
All good. No, you got it.
All right, just checking.
Okay, great.
So folks are going to communicate directly with Jessica regarding participating. Does anyone have any other comments regarding participating in the phone line or the phone line itself, or getting that information from Jessica regarding utilization?
I'm also going to offer, it's to Blue's point. Blue made a really good point that not everybody's here, and so not everybody knows to contact me. So why don't we do it this way? Why don't we send out a call over email as well? And we can also remind folks at the next meeting if they're unable to join. So I can send out a call to all OAC members and have them, that way they can respond even though they're not present, because that's
Sounds good. Sounds good. Karen.
Yeah, I know that some of the applicants did talk about using Lines for Life, and they have a budget line item for that in their budget. Not all of them did, but I just think it would be really helpful when the documentation about each, funded application is completed, if that could be collated, like how many entities put in their budget that they were going to contract with Lines for Life, what dollar amount did that end up being? I think it would provide a lot of information to the subgroup that's going to tackle that. Thanks.
That's great. That's a great point, Karen. Thank you. Anyone else? Questions?
Well, folks, that brings us to the end of our agenda. And we're at 2:36. Amy Madrigal.
Okay, thank you, Ron. I know that we're at the end of the agenda, and this is just, I promised the citizens at the meeting that I was at that I would bring this. I got to talk to Ron the other night about some concerns that were mentioned in a meeting that I was at around ballot measure 110. And I just kind of want to let them know that I heard them, and I did discuss it with the council, and a lot of what's out there is, so I was at the Umatilla County legal meeting. It's called the LCAC meeting, and the sheriffs from each town come in, and the sheriff's department and the city police, and then the jail comes to it, and then we have citizens present, and the youth councils are there and stuff. And a lot of what there's a lot of factors outside of ballot measure 110 that are just happening, but their biggest concern is the fact, when are these things going to get out? When are we going to start seeing the difference? And I was able to tell them, we're hoping by the end of June to be able to have dollars, going out and getting things getting going. The police officers were very frustrated, and frustrated like they don't even want to give the citations out because it's a waste of their time, they said, which really was concerning to me, because it isn't a waste of their time. There's a reason that we voted this measure in, and there's a reason that we have this accountability committee doing what we're doing. And I think, I would love to be able to let them know in some way that, and maybe by speaking up here, to let law enforcement, that you do make a difference doing these violations. If they're out there, that it's granting people access to learn that there is hope and care. You give them a violation, you let them know, hey, because of the vote, because of what happened, here's your options for this violation. But I was very concerned with the level of frustration and the level of almost discontent for the ballot, for the measure 110, and so in the meeting, it was also stated by a citizen that a lady was on the sidewalk in a sleeping bag, and she was high, and there was no place to take her. And this is another reason why it's so important that we continue the work we're doing, because by doing the funding and getting these burns up and going and getting the resources out there, we're going to be able to help those people in these rural communities. We had 8 overdose deaths in November. Last month alone, we had 4 overdose resulting in deaths, but a couple of them were brought back by the Narcan and gotten to the ER, but 2 of them didn't. And this is just a small part of this entire state of Oregon. So continuing to do what we're doing, but it does take time to create a new platform, created something that hasn't been created yet. So I understand everybody's frustration in the state that's looking at us like, why isn't this done yet? Why isn't that done yet? Well, because we're creating things from the floor up, and because we have a lot of passionate, caring, loving people on this committee that just want to make sure things are getting done fairly and correctly. And so give us a chance to get this stuff done, everyone. And just, know that it's not because of bureaucrats or bureaucracies or legal issues or here and there. It's because we do care and because we want to make sure that things are done right. So let us do what we need to do. We'll get this done, and you'll start seeing the benefits from it. Right now, people aren't seeing the benefits, I think, and that is what I heard in the meeting. Is their concerns is they're not seeing the benefits. They're seeing overdose rates go up. And unfortunately, I want to tell them that that's not because of OAC. That's the timeline. It's because, people are still out there using drugs. And yes, it's decriminalized right now pretty much, but we're going to have an impact. It is going to make a difference. We just have to get the things in place. And that's what this first year is really about, is getting these larger burns in place. So it's going to happen. Your work is not in vain. You're not, you are making a difference. It's not that you're not. It's just that we got to get things in place, and it's going to happen. But I wanted them to know, and I wanted everyone to know, I did hear you, and I do hear you. And I said that I would bring it back to the committee. And I just wanted to get those concerns out and let us know what was being said. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Amy. I really appreciate you sharing that. Now I'm going to call on Karen, and then Blue, and then Steve.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Amy. That's interesting too. I was going to say, I have 2 things. One, I've been told that, and this would need to take shape during a legislative session, but the ticket or the citation or whatever, it's not built into the uniform. What is it called? There's a uniform citation that has a number of different things on it that is, it's in statute, and it's clearly, something that gets developed for each law enforcement entity. And I think that would make somewhat of a difference if this actually was on the uniform. Again, I don't even know what it's called. Thank goodness I haven't been charged with anything recently, but it's the uniform crime something or other. But it's the uniform ticket that people receive if they get a citation. So I'd say that. I don't know if that would help or not, but it seems like it would. A county commissioner told me about that, and she from Harney County, and she believes that would help things. So it might be something we want to work on in this session. The other thing I was going to say is I really would like to see the public comments that have been made to the council. As a council member, being on this council since the beginning, I haven't seen one comment. And I have I have people from different groups that talk to me frequently, from CCOs or maybe CMHPs, and they say, I've submitted some comments, but I've never gotten anything back, and I don't even know if you've seen it. So I want to put a plug in for that again, just not today, obviously, but for a future agenda item, or even just a information that can be sent to the council to read all the public comments that have come in. Thank you.
Okay, Blue. Thank you, Karen.
Yeah, thank you, Karen. I had asked about that earlier, and I have had some people reach out as well that told me they've submitted comments, and I don't know where they're going, but I would like to know or be able to look at those so that there's a little bit more transparency with the public being able to communicate with the council. And I don't know that we have enough folks for a vote or that it needs a vote, but I will just bring up again that there was some concern around the length of time that tri-chairs are serving, that are currently serving. I think we all agreed as a council that the term was 1 year. There was a little bit of confusion around staggering, and one of the tri-chairs, I believe, had said that the other terms were 18 months and 2 years, and there were some council members that were a little concerned with those lengths of time being staggered. And so I would just like to get that, and I don't know that we have time today, but I would like to get that addressed at some point.
Okay. Did you have a proposal, or what do you want to do? Because I have heard you, I don't know if it was tri-chairs or I think it was in a meeting where you had recommended that the terms be limited to 1 year and that the terms be 12 months, 15 months, and 18 months to kind of wipe out that 24 months.
Yeah, I had
My
initially.
hand is up, actually.
Oh, I thought Ron was asking me to clarify.
Yeah, yes.
Well,
okay. I initially had thought that the staggering would have been one term was shorter than the average term, one is a little bit longer, to sort of give people, ways to hand off and sort of, train, for lack of a better word, the newer chairs. And I was a little surprised to hear that. I know that tri-chairs were supposed to come back and discuss who was going to have which term, and I don't think that was ever done with the council. And so, fairly recently hearing that the tri-chairs decided on 18 months and 2 years, meaning that one person is in there for essentially double the term that we'd agreed upon, is concerning. I have no problem with people being voted back in. If nobody else wants to be a tri-chair, that's fine too. But it definitely, I've had a couple of people reach out as well that they were not under the impression that the tri-chairs would be serving terms that were quite as long as they are.
Okay, thank you, Blue. I'm going to move with the stack. So Steve and then Keisha. You're on mute, Steve.
Sorry, I was going to defer to Keisha in case she wanted to continue with the discussion you were just having.
Go ahead, Keisha.
sorry, I'm a little sick still. As I stated, before, when we were voted in over a year ago, it was left up to the tri-chairs to decide their term limits, and it was the 1 year, the 18 months, and the 2 years. I don't understand what the concern is, and whoever has concerns to really bring them up, because we're saying different things and it's just not making any sense to me. So I'm really trying to figure out the concerns and understand. We were supposed to bring this up and go through, some more of the footage and all that, and before we even brought this up. But I think it's a pressing matter, so I would really like to hear what the concerns are and what the problem is at this point.
Steve, or do you want to go, or do you want to do? Let's go ahead and hear from you because this could go on.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll jump in. It's just a quick comment. I really appreciated what Amy said, and I think two things related to that. One is my understanding of Measure 110 would have two impacts. One was to eliminate the negative impacts of the criminal justice system on people with possession level drugs, and shifting to a citation, whether people are cited or not, removes those negative impacts on people's lives. And so to me, that's where Measure 1 already has had a very important impact. And I know that not everyone agrees with that. And I think it is a difference, and some folks are quite concerned that shifting to a civil citation may in fact encourage people to use more drugs. I think that I don't frankly agree with that, but regardless, the second part of this, and the part that the council of course is working on as we speak, is to push out significant resources to help people who are using drugs in those variety of things that we all understand. That's part of the burns and the direct access to care grants. So I just wanted to say that. The second piece is, I know there's a lot of controversy and information swirling around this effort, but you know what you demonstrated, Amy, is that we all as council members represent the council and are ambassadors for that, and we all get to choose what messages we also convey to community about the work that we're doing. And I just appreciated what you said, Amy. Thank you.
Thank you. Sabrina?
Yeah, this is back to Blue's comment, and I just kind of want to honor her as a tri-chair, because I know that she has asked this question multiple times before she even took the seat, and kind of just been circling around it and not getting any clarity about the tri-chair terms. I know because I was actually in the tri-chair meeting where we decided, but because it was never documented, and what was documented was the 6 months, the 6 month staggering system. It makes it hard to be concrete. And when people go back to look at the YouTube meetings, trying to find the clarity of when we agreed to the staggering limits, there is none. I watched the video myself because I was trying to get some clarity, because I was very confused about the process. And so I just wanted to circle back to the fact that I wanted to honor Blue for her continued request, and it doesn't seem like she's kind of getting anywhere. And because we have been so busy, we haven't really tackled that conversation.
Thank you, Sabrina. Jessica?
Yeah, thank you, Sabrina, and Blue. And I just want to say, so we did go back and watch several hours of footage of these meetings to find exactly what happened, because this kind of predated us. And what we found was that the council voted to allow the tri-chairs to make that decision on how long they would serve. The tri-chair meetings are not recorded, so we could not go back to the tri-chair meeting and watch that video. And that is where we relied on the tri-chairs who were there to tell us what they voted on. Or sorry, they didn't vote, they decided what they decided on. Let me change my wording there. And I believe that was reported back. And if it wasn't, that's definitely an oversight on our part.
Keisha, is your hand still up, or?
No, I really just remember the meeting, and when we figured out our terms, and it was 12 months, 18 months, and 2 years. And there's no doubt about that.
Okay, so thank you. So at this point, because you know, we're kind of at our end of the agenda today, I don't know, I would recommend that we kind of make this a formal agenda item that the tri-chairs can discuss on Friday. And if we want to put this before the council next week, that we do so. But I think we need to kind of shape this conversation a little better moving forward. And so I would suggest that we, Blue, if it's okay with you, can we table this and then have the tri-chairs discuss it in detail at our next meeting? And then if we want to move it to a full agenda item in the future, we can do that. Okay. Okay, Lou's okay with that. I've got some other head nods and thumbs up. So I think that'll bring us to the end of our agenda for today. And we can give people back 36 minutes of their day, if everybody's okay with that. I'm seeing one heart from Don. Oh, I'm seeing multiple hearts. Hearts everywhere. Okay, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and adjourn the meeting and thank you all. It was very productive, and we'll see you all next week. And we'll see some of you in the subcommittees when we start digging into those big counties and small counties. All right, thanks everybody. Good day.
Bye, everybody. Blessings, everyone.
Bye, thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Hey, thank you, Ron. Good job.
All right, good job to each
Yep.
of you.
Yeah,
Great job.
we kept it moving.
That's right. Yeah, I got a meeting with Sam Adams and Mayor Wheeler right now, so I got
All right. All right. Have a good one.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, y'all, I'm going to end it.